Good morning, everyone. It's literally 8 in the morning. Emmett is sick and he's sleeping in the room right next to me, so I'm gonna try to talk a little quieter, a little calmer, a little ASMR moment. A little ASMR. Just kidding. I've gained like 20 pounds or more in the past year, and I'm not exactly here to talk about that because gaining weight isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm here to talk about the fact that my body is not the same as when I was 17 and how it's messing with my brain and it's making me feel bad about myself. So I've always been extremely skinny like my entire life, like a stick, literally stick thin. And I was used to that, right? And my body never changed very much. I kind of fluctuated between like 5 pounds or so, like gaining and losing that. And so I guess I was just kind of under the impression that I was gonna stay that small forever. And this isn't a video of me complaining about gaining weight, again, because I don't want it to come across that way. I wanna talk about the fact that there's this idea that women kind of stay like teenagers forever. And if they don't stay like teenagers forever, they are like looked down upon. And I feel bad about myself. Like I feel bad about myself when I look at people on Instagram or TikTok and they're super, super skinny and they're like my age, because I'm 21 now. I'm like, why don't I look like that? Like granted, a lot of these people work out all the time, you know? And I'm not saying I'm not skinny, but I'm talking about like really, really, really skinny, like tiny little mini people. And I'm like, why don't I look like that? You know, I used to kind of look like that. I used to be that skinny. I used to not weigh as much as I weigh now. I definitely look different, like 100%. I know I look different than I did when I was 17. And I'm comparing myself to these people because I'm under this impression that I'm supposed to look like a teenager. And it's this thing that's kind of woven into the fabrics of society. When a woman has a kid, it's like, oh, she doesn't look like she used to. You know, she gained some weight after she birthed an effing child, you know? Women feel bad about themselves as they age, you know? They become 50, 60, 70, and they're like, oh, I just wish I was 20 again. Like there's this idea that a juvenile body, one that has no fat at all, and is very like not curvaceous or has perfect skin, no wrinkles, none of that stuff. That's like the ideal body. And I feel like as women, we're just constantly searching our entire lives to keep that or to find that. Like we're all at our skinniest for the most part when we're teenagers, right? And so I feel like a lot of us are just trying to get back to that and just constantly thinking about like a time in our life. It could be before you had a child or before you turned a certain age or before you gained a bunch of weight or whatever. And you're like, oh, I just want to get back to that. And I think that sucks. I think it sucks. So I'm here to talk about it because I don't think that women should feel this way. I know someone, and I won't say who it is because I don't want them to be put on blast like this, but she's so young, okay? And her body is changing because she's transitioning from being like, you know, a preteen 12-year-old to being like an actual teenager. And you guys know, at least for me, you gain a bit of weight when you're a young teenager to when you're like an older teenager. At least like when you're like 17, I put on like 5-10 pounds and it's normal. But she's kind of transitioning to that and she feels bad about herself because she's comparing herself to when she was a literal child and had not an ounce of body fat on her and just went through a growth spurt, and she's like already feeling bad about herself already at such a young age. Like she's so young. And I think that's so sad. And I'm going through a similar thing, going through the transition from being a teenager to being an adult woman. And I'm sure that there's older women who are going through the same thing of going from a transition from being whatever to being whatever. And that just makes me so sad. Like, when are we gonna be okay with ourselves? When are women gonna look in the mirror and be like, yeah, this is good. Like, this is fine. I don't have to go work out like crazy to change my body. I don't have to compare myself to someone on the internet. I don't have to think about when I was younger and when I was just at my prime. Or maybe I've never even reached my prime and I just wish that I could get to my prime one day, and one day I'll get there, you know? Some women exercise for health reasons, and that's amazing, you know? You go to the gym, you work out, and maybe even, you know, looking a little different makes you feel good about yourself, and that's fine. I think that's okay as long as it's within reason. But some women literally spend hours a day in the gym, hours a day. They eat nothing. Some even have eating disorders. Like, you can get really far into that, but they spend all this time and energy and are just killing themselves trying to look a certain way because of some standard that they put on themselves or that somebody else put on them. Like, oh, you've gained a little bit of weight, as if our bodies are never supposed to change. Like, we are under the impression as women that we're not supposed to gain weight. And when you do gain weight, you're like, oh, you gained weight. Oh, that sucks. As if we're never supposed to age. I don't know if it goes back to the whole roots of like men love children. I don't want to sound weird. A lot of men are attracted to women who look like children, and they want these like hairless, skinny, tiny little teenage girl looking bodies. And a lot of the very famous models that we see and people on television and all that, their bodies kind of look like teenagers. And obviously teenagers are completely sexualized by everybody. I wonder if that's part of it. Like, people just want us to stay kids forever because kids are like more attractive than adult women. That's disgusting. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, where did this come from? And how do I stop it? Like, how do I stop feeling like shit when I look in the mirror because I gained weight? Because my eating hasn't changed. I don't think I've started eating more. I did get off birth control, so that definitely could be a reason why. Like, my hormones have changed a lot, so that could be why. Why have I gained 20 pounds? I don't know, but it's probably just me aging. Like, I have to force myself to get out of this mindset that I'm gonna stay the same forever and I'm gonna look the same forever. And it sucks. Like, I'm out here being sad that I don't look the way I did when I was younger, but that sucks. And it's all because I thought something. And this is my overarching philosophy for life that my therapist taught me. Before I continue with the video, I do want to tell you guys really quick about the sponsor of today's video, which is honey. You guys probably know what honey is already because it's like the best thing ever, but if you're seriously missing out and you don't know what it is, let me tell you about it. It's basically just a little button that goes in the corner of your internet browser, whether it's Google or Safari or whatever. And basically anytime you want to buy anything like clothing or shoes or beauty stuff or whatever it is that you buy frequently, for me, it's usually like clothing. Honey basically just scours the internet for different promo codes that you never would have known about, and then it tries them for you, and then a lot of times it gets you a discount. Like, honey finds an average of an 18% discount when you use it, which is so crazy because like you never would have known about it before. So all you have to do is go to joinhoney.com/Dani and click on that and get honey. It takes like 2 minutes and it basically does all the work for you. Like, it just saves you money on stuff that you're already going to buy, and it's free. So there's literally no reason for you not to get it. So go to joinhoney.com/Dani and try out honey right now, because I promise you'll be obsessed with it. This is my overarching philosophy for life that my therapist taught me. The only reason I feel sad about this is because I'm thinking about something else. So he has this metaphor that he's used on me that I honestly still don't fully understand the way he words it, but I get what he's trying to say. He says, so imagine you love strawberries and you come into my office one day and I have a plate of strawberries. What would you think? And I'm like, I want to eat the strawberries. That sounds great. And he's like, yeah. And then you'd probably eat the strawberries. And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, okay, then what if the next day you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you you're allergic to strawberries, your favorite food. And then you come into the office and I'm like, hey, I got some strawberries for you. What are you going to think about the strawberries? And I'm like, oh, I can't eat those because I'm allergic to them. And he's like, yeah, the strawberries never changed. Just the circumstance changed and your knowledge about the strawberries or whatever changed. But the strawberries are still exactly the same. And so I kind of apply that to this, where I would not feel bad about gaining weight if I never expected myself to not gain weight. And if I didn't have this, notion put on me that I'm never supposed to gain weight, then I wouldn't feel bad about it, right? Like, it's just something that you put on yourself. It's just a comparison that you put on yourself. Whether it's someone that you have in mind, like a celebrity, like for me, Emma Chamberlain, I look at her body and I'm like, oh my God, she's so skinny. She has like no curves, like almost at all. And she probably wants to be more curvaceous maybe, I don't know. But I'm like, oh, she's so skinny. Like, how does she stay like that? She probably works out a ton and her body probably is just like that, right? She might not eat that much. She might be going through something for all I know. Actually, I know that she's definitely mentioned struggling with eating disorders before. So that could be a factor in it. I'm just constantly thinking of what I think I should be and then feeling bad about myself. But if I had no comparison to what I should be, I wouldn't feel bad about myself, right? So I don't know how to approach this because like I should exercise because it's good for me, right? But I don't want to exercise to try to lose weight and become, very, very small again, because I don't think that's good for me. Like, I'm 5'9" and the weight that I was at when I was, so skinny and 17, I don't know if that was a healthy weight. I don't know if I had enough meat on my bones, as my dad used to say. So I don't know how to approach this. Like, do I just accept it and move on? Am I being unhealthy? I don't think I am. I don't think my eating has changed. I think maybe I just need to like exercise to where I feel comfortable and not feel bad about myself if I don't exercise. And then if I lose weight, I lose weight. If I gain weight, I gain weight, right? I feel like everybody should strive to just live an active lifestyle, and then whatever body weight they're at, living that active lifestyle and, eating generally healthy or whatever, I think that should be the weight that they strive to be at. Or maybe we shouldn't even strive to be at a weight. I don't know. Like, it's just hard. It's really, really hard. It's like no matter what you do, you feel bad about yourself. and I don't want to feel that way. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out like what I should be doing to like fix this or whatever. I guess I should just try to not feel bad about myself regardless of where I'm at. Like even if I never lose weight again, even if I keep gaining weight, even if I gain 100 pounds, I probably still shouldn't feel bad about myself. I should try to be healthy no matter what, but if I lose or gain weight, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm healthy or unhealthy, because it's not always a direct correlation. I don't know, but if you guys relate to me and you have something to share, leave it in the comments, because I love talking to you guys about this kind of stuff. If anybody is struggling with eating disorders or anything like that, like there is help and you can feel better about yourself, and there's treatment, and I'll leave some stuff in the description for you guys to look at if you feel like you're struggling or you're triggered by this video or anything like that. Okay, I love you guys. Goodbye.